I'm an American man, and I sold all of my belongings, flew to Thailand, and ordained as a Buddhist monk. I was born into a family of intellectuals. Both of my parents are professors. Both of them have PhDs. My dad went to Princeton. A typical Friday night would be a bunch of professors sitting around the dinner table discussing politics and philosophy. So I was exposed to very high quality education all of my life. I became friends with some of my mom's coworkers, sociologists, and I was even friends with Mark Zuckerberg's professor from Harvard. So naturally, as most children do, I rebelled against this. I sort of rejected standard education. I was a problem for a lot of my teachers in school, and I always sensed that something was missing. I always felt like everyone's very smart and educated and well-read, but you guys aren't happy. And that was always my hypothesis or my evaluation of life and the people that I was around. I sensed that something was missing, like there was something that people were not telling. And following this came sort of an existential crisis, if you will. I started feeling really depressed, extremely anxious, to the point where it was almost debilitating. And I never felt that there was something wrong with me, but I sensed that there was something wrong with society. There's something wrong with the way adults are guiding me. They're guiding me towards a place which I felt was fake, or a place where they themselves haven't found the truth. So I found myself really depressed, troubled, and gravitating more and more towards dangerous and unhealthy situations. So what is life like as a Buddhist monk in Thailand? Well, it really depends where you are a monk. There are different kinds of monks. There are city monks, there are forest monks, and there's kind of monks in between. Thai forest monks practice a more conservative style of Buddhism. Buddhism in Thailand is Theravada Buddhism, which is the school of the elders. So basically, Theravada Buddhism doesn't change any of the rules since the time of the Buddha. And whereas Mahayana Buddhism, which is like under Zen is under Mahayana, it's kind of more adapted to the modern age. So as Buddhism moved from India to Thailand to Sri Lanka, Cambodia, and it eventually moved to China, Japan, Korea, it became Mahayana. I prefer Mahayana, hence this channel is Zen. I really like Zen Buddhism, the style I learned at the Vietnamese temple, but in Thailand it's Theravada. And I practiced both as a Thai forest monk and a city monk. The difference is, as a forest monk, obviously you live in the forest, and they are very strict with the rules. So, for example, a forest monk cannot use a cell phone. A forest monk eats only one time a day, and you live with the bare minimum. And the only possessions you're allowed are your robe and a bowl. And you're not even allowed to read a material that isn't Buddhist. And you live deep in the forest. So it's obviously a huge difference for most people, and it comes with a lot of challenges, especially eating one time a day. And the Thai forest tradition is known for its extreme practices, such as sleep deprivation, fasting, graveyard meditation, contemplating death, and things like, and I did all of those. I fasted for 15 days. I tried the sleep deprivation one, and I meditated with corpses. And the city monk, I also tried. It's a bit more flexible. Monks eat twice a day, and Monks can have smartphones, they can collect donations from people, and some of these temples are very modern. They try to integrate into society. They have like jobs and stuff like that. So that's, in general, the options you have as a monk in Thailand. What are the most valuable lessons I learned as a monk? Well, the first thing I would say is I learned that we already are who we want to become. And what I mean by that is a lot of times you think when you're searching your soul or you're searching for truth or to know yourself, you're like looking for something. Or when you meditate, you're looking to achieve something. But in fact, it's the opposite. We have ran from ourselves our whole lives. We have created a story about ourselves. We have created an identification, an identity surrounding our sense of self. But the kind of tragedy is who we are, or who we're perceived as, or this identity isn't really ourselves. It's made up, it's a story. And we kind of lose ourselves somewhere along the way in childhood. And meditation is sort of unveiling all of the blocks and cobwebs we have wrapped around our true self. And, it's like peeling an onion, coming to terms with that facade that you have built and then reconnecting with your true nature. This is a tough pill to swallow because we build so much resistance. We create this character and we don't really know how to process our emotions. And I love the way Thich Nhat Hanh describes it. Like, take, for example, anger. When a mother is holding her baby, when the baby cries, the mother doesn't scold the baby. It's like, be quiet. Because if they do that, the baby is going to cry more. Our emotions are just like that. Our emotions are like, you have to treat your emotions like a mother holding her baby. You have to calm them. You have to soothe them until they're quiet, until they dissipate. And this, we have to sort of relearn because unfortunately, most of us are not taught this. We're not taught this in school, and we're not taught this by our parents. Another thing that I've learned, and I also still struggle with, is the art of letting go. I tend to be a worrier. I worry a lot about the future, and I get stressed easily. And, we live a life where we're always planning for the future and we're imprisoned by our past, and we sacrifice the present moment for the future and past. But sometimes people say, yeah, like you can't just live in the present moment all the time. But it's not that in Buddhist practice, you're just like, don't worry about the future, or you don't plan for the future and just like, oh, just let it go, just forget the past. No, it's that the present moment contains the past and the future, but we we sacrifice the present because we're consumed by the past and future. Meditation helps us like process things from the past so we are able to let it go because it no longer exists. It only exists in our mind in the present. So when we say like the past doesn't exist, it doesn't exist in reality, but it exists so much that it's in your mind now, and it's affecting everything else. Until you let things go, you're going to carry that to your future. Tied in with this is we often take ourselves way too seriously. I never learned how to smile until I went to that Vietnamese temple, and I'll never forget this because I was like hooked, right? I'm going to practice every day all the time, and I was trying too hard. I was too serious. Like, okay, it's another thing to conquer. This nun named Sister Bikmin, she said, you're trying too hard. All you need to do is breathe and smile. And I don't know why, but it really like made a difference. And I've never forgot this. I remember exactly how that moment smelled, how it felt. And it's like I was waiting to hear that my entire life. Just such a simple thing. I felt a relief, like, oh, yeah, all I need to do is breathe and smile. And it's weird. Why wasn't I told this by anyone else until this moment? And it's such a simple thing, breathe and smile. But we take ourselves so serious. We are unable to laugh at ourselves. We're unable to be free because we are kind of trapped in our identification, and we get offended so easily. We take things so personal. We think everything is about us, but it's not. And because we kind of like live in such a way where it's like me, myself, and I, we just think about ourselves, we're missing everything. We're blinded of reality, and we're blinded by the beautiful people around us and the many connections we can make because we're like trapped in our own self. And another thing that I learned, and this may sound kind of strange because I was a Buddhist monk, and a lot of people think of Buddhism when they think that, monks are like completely non-sexual, and Buddhism kind of ignores sexuality. And to some extent that's true, but I integrate this. And everyone is looking for love, but we're always looking for love in the wrong places. We are looking for someone to complete us without having completed ourselves first. So we're looking for someone to love us without loving ourselves first. And this is impossible because you're always going to kind of dump your baggage onto someone if you can't find a way to be happy by yourself. And if you can find a way to be happy by yourself, alone in a room or in the forest, then you really have something to offer. You can offer your true presence. You offer your joy, you offer your laughter, you offer your happiness that comes from deep in your stomach, deep within you. It's not something that's dependent on another person or other conditions. And a lot of people are confused as to what they want in a partner. I know for myself, I was so caught in my sense of self that I looked past perfectly decent partners because like I thought they weren't cool enough or they weren't hot enough. And a lot of guys nowadays, the whole Andrew Tate stuff, there's the age-old idea that girls only like bad boys, or girls are attracted to assholes and nice guys finish last. But this is also a false. Women are attracted to authenticity, and a lot of times guys will pretend to be nice or act a certain way because they're kind of scared or passive. And women sense this, they don't like this. But women that are attracted to the asshole, just the mean person, that's just a broken woman who doesn't know what she wants and then wonders why she keeps getting hurt by an asshole because she doesn't value herself. She doesn't know what's quality. So a lot of men and women are basically lost and looking for something that they haven't found in themselves. And there will always be a disconnect. This takes me to my next lesson learned, and that is about mindfulness. Mindfulness is everything. Mindfulness is Zen. Meditation is just a tool for us to be more mindful. It's like a training, it's like going to the gym. We lose the present moment. So we have to train our minds to come back. It's like a reference point to the present moment. It's a bookmark. So if we're already mindful, if we're already here, you don't need to do meditation because you're already here. You're awake. And a lot of us, we do things mindlessly, especially nowadays. We're bombarded with screens and distractions and instant gratification. and we don't do things mindfully. And I would tell you, mindfulness helps everything. If you have sex mindfully, it's much more beautiful and profound for both people. If you drive mindfully, it's much more enjoyable to drive. If you read mindfully, it's more enjoyable to read. And you don't always have to talk. A lot of times we are scared of silence. We're scared of the moments, the pauses. But silence is God. Silence is art. Silence is the canvas of the beauty of life. It's the foundation. And if you are always running from silence, you're running from truth. So allowing myself to be silent and to enjoy silence was a really huge turning point for me in my practice. A thing that I learned, and not just as a Buddhist monk, but in all of my travels and practice, is that experience is the highest form of education. A lot of people just talk. A lot of people have a lot of ideas and concepts, but it never happens. You know, people are all talk nowadays, and we're talking in circles. We're throwing books at each other. We're competing with, I know a little bit more about this thing, and what do you know? And even knowledge is competitive. And this is something that I sensed from an early age. There's all these professors, but they don't really know that much. They just have become experts in their specific fields of study. And they've created an identity around this field of study. And they feel, I mean, not all the time, but it's like, I'm an expert at this thing. And who knows more than me? And we do this, and people do this in everything. But in experience, there's no need to, if you have a profound experience, if you find God, if you find enlightenment, you just know. You don't need to shout to everyone. You don't need to brag. You're humble. I learned how to be humble through Buddhist practice. And I find humility very attractive. When I see arrogance and I see ego, it's such a turnoff to me. It's disgusting to me. And experience is impressive to me. After all, it's like, how can you describe how an orange tastes to a person who never tasted an orange? You can try, right? You can say it's sweet, a little bit sour, but those are just words. And you can say that in every language in the world, you know, different sounds out of your mouth to describe an orange. But the only way to know how an orange tastes is to try it, to experience it. And the thing that he said, he left everyone with is, do not believe me. There is no belief. There's no religion. You have to find it for yourself. And as a teacher, as a father or mother, as a parent, this is the greatest gift you can give a young person, is to not micromanage them, not control them, but guide them to find truth for them. Lastly, just want to say, as you can see, my path to Thailand, to being here, is quite unique compared to other people. But I don't judge others. If people choose to go to the bars, if people choose to do what they do, you know, that's up to them. I don't judge people. Everyone has a different path. And I just wanted to share my experience on here. And yeah, I appreciate the support so far. I've gained about 2,000 and so followers or subscribers on here in a pretty fast, short amount of time. I appreciate that. I enjoy making these videos, and please show me some love by liking, commenting on the video. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Hit the subscribe button. And the last thing I'll say is, maybe you are like me and you are feeling lost and you need some help. Please do not hesitate to message me, comment on the video, and I'm happy to help you for free because I thrive when I'm allowed to be compassionate. That's just who I am. I'm not selling anything here. This is just how it is. So if you want some help or you need a friend, please don't hesitate. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.